Today we're going to learn one-point perspective. One-point perspective is great if you want to show things that are getting further away. To do a one-point perspective drawing, you're going to need a piece of paper, a ruler, an eraser, and a pencil. You're going to be doing a lot of erasing, so it's really important you use a pencil, use an eraser. To get started, you need to draw a horizon line. Horizon line can be anywhere on your paper, but you want to make sure that it is a horizontal line. It goes from one end to the other. Lay down your ruler, take your pencil, go from one side to the other. Next up, you need a vanishing point. This is where all of your points are going to go back in space towards. So I usually stick with it around the middle. You can go off to the side. You don't want to go too far to one side. So I'm going to go right about here. When I start a one-point perspective drawing, I always think about what is the front of the building I want to draw. I'm going to make a house, so I'm thinking I want to make a square. When I make my square, I'm going to use my ruler. I'm going to try to make sure that my vertical lines are nice and vertical. I don't want them to be diagonal because it's going to throw off the illusion I'm trying to create. So I've got my ruler, looking at it nice and straight. And go ahead and make one side of my square. I also want to make sure when I do the bottom of my house, I'm trying to make a nice 90-degree angle here, nice square corner. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw the other side. And finally, the top. Alright, so that's the bottom of my house. If I want to draw a triangular roof on top, I'm going to kind of find halfway. Don't have to measure it, don't have to be exact, but kind of give yourself a little dot where halfway above your house would be. And I'm going to use my ruler to connect that dot. So there's one side of my roof. There's the other side. Alright, so that's how you might have drawn a house before. If I use my vanishing point, I'm going to go ahead and make this house look three-dimensional. So when I make my vanishing point go to work, I'm going to make sure that any corner that's on the side of my house, that's the same side as my vanishing point, these lines are going to go back and recede in the distance. So I'm going to go ahead, I sometimes like to put a dot on the corners that I'm going to touch. Helps me line things up. I can always go back and erase them. I like to start right here, and I'm going to go ahead, touch my ruler to my vanishing point, touch the ruler to the point on the house I'm trying to connect, and very lightly, because I'm going to do some erasing later, I'm going to draw a line that goes back to that vanishing point. I'm going to do the same thing with the top of my house. Now, this one's really close to my horizon line, so it's going to be close, but it's not exactly the same. Dot, vanishing point, line that recedes back. And then I've got one more dot on this side. Dot to my house, and I'm going to draw my line. Alright, now I'm not doing this line or this line because if I did, I would be drawing a line through my house. Houses aren't see-through, so I can't see through this wall. I cannot see that bottom line. It exists, I just can't see it. Same thing with this one right here. If I went to connect it, it would be going through my roof. It exists, I just can't see it. My house is not made of glass. So right now I've created a house that goes on forever. If I want to make my house stop, I need to draw the back of the wall and the back of the roof. So this is where it's really important that I use some parallel lines. If the front of my house's wall is a vertical line, the back has to match. So right now, if I look at my ruler, it's diagonal and this line is straight. I need to adjust. The space right here should be the same. And I can make my house as long as I want, and I'm going to draw a line from here to here. From here down. I just moved it back a little bit. Alright, so that tells me where my house is stopping. This is all extra line. I'm going to erase that in a second. Now, a lot of people get confused right here. This is the front of your roof. It's diagonal. So if I want to make my roof stop, I have to match the diagonal right here. So I'm going to adjust my ruler to make them the same lines. They're parallel. And I'm going to have it lined up with the back of my wall because that's where they're going to be touching. And I have the same angle. You want to make sure, some people forget that this is a diagonal and they just draw a line straight up. Not the case. One's the wall, one's the roof. Now that I've got my front done, my side done, this is all extra. It was just there to help me. I'm going to grab that eraser and I'm going to erase it away. Okay, now anything on the front of my house is normal. So if I want to draw a door, I can draw a door. If I want to draw a window, I can draw a window. And I can add all kinds of details up front. If I want to add anything here, because this is diagonal and receding, it needs to use my vanishing point. The rules are a little bit different. So let's say I want to draw a rectangular window on this side of my house. I'm going to use a vertical line to start, and then I'm going to have to go back to that vanishing point. So take my ruler. It's really important that it's matching the line right here. They're parallel. Draw the front of your window. This is going to be a very tall window. Then I'm going to use the top of my window and the bottom of my window to make my rectangle. I'm going to touch my receding or my vanishing point to here and draw a line. I'm going to stop it inside my house. Windows don't go past our house. And then I'm going to touch the bottom to the vanishing point. I'm going to make a line that's the same length. And I've got somewhat of a rectangle started going back. Now I need to tell my window where it's going to stop. So I'm going to go ahead and do a vertical line back here. This line and this line match. This line and this line match. There's space here. They're not running into one another. And there's space here. If you did your window correct, there should be a nice space around it. It shouldn't be touching any of the tops or bottoms of your walls. So there's a house. If I wanted to make a road, I can go ahead and use a diagonal line going back in space to show that my road is getting smaller in the distance. If I want there to be some lines going down the road, I can go ahead and make some rectangles. Now, as I'm working on those rectangles, they are getting smaller and closer because I know to create the illusion of space, I need to make things smaller and less detailed. So as I get further and further away, those become just lines until I can't see them anymore. If I wanted to make a taller building, I could make one over here. If I want some mountains, mountains are way in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and put my mountains back there. Maybe I want there to be some trees. Trees grow out of the ground straight and tall. So imagine you have an invisible line right here. I'm going to go ahead, draw my tree trunk. Maybe I want there to be a branch. And then I can go ahead, draw my tree. It's going to cover up my horizon line because it's tall. I'm going to erase that away. And I've got that really nice tree. If I wanted a tree that's further away, it's got to follow the rules. It should be higher up on the page, and it should be smaller and shorter. It should still have a straight trunk on the bottom, skinnier trunk right here, and there's my tree back further away. That's some basics in 1-point perspective. I hope this video helped you as you go to get started.